Welcome, B2B startups, change-ups, scale-ups, and grown-ups. This is the B2B Lead Gen Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Schwartzman. Let's do this. Welcome to the B2B Lead Gen Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Schwartzman. My guest today, Anna Lebedeva. She is the Director of Growth at Semrush, a competitive research service for online marketing. Anna, thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. I'm very happy to join the podcast.
So you're introducing Semrush to new markets. Some of these markets, are newer, I would think, to search engine marketing and to online digital marketing. First, before I accept the premise, is that true? I mean, do you find when you open, the service, when you push into Brazil or you push into a new market, that you're, for the most part, dealing with a customer that is less sophisticated?
If we talk about the search engine optimization market, then of course they're much behind than the US, for example. And people, they have much less knowledge there about search engine optimization than in the US. But at the same time, this country is super advanced with content marketing. And at the same time, content marketing is a very big part of search engine optimization. They know so much about content marketing there, but at the same time, they know much less about the technical search engine optimization, about more advanced techniques. For Brazil, I would say that for each country, you really need to invest your time into reading what kind of content they already have, so to understand how deep they know a certain topic. So I don't know Portuguese myself. Some content I've been reading with the Google Translate, even using that. We did not go there directly with search engine optimization topics. We went there with the content marketing things, which were already popular there, and then easily consumed. And then we start adding content on search engine optimization. So for each country, you really need to see what they already know and what they know less. At the same time, if you talk about Scandinavian countries or, for example, Germany, these people are very technical. So you just can't, we produce a lot of content in English, but the thing is that we can't just translate this content into Scandinavian languages or into German, because that people, the people there, they love to see more data. So each time you really need to learn the local. You really need to get local insight of how people consume the information and what kind of information they really love to read, and which is very easy for them to digest and to process.
What have you learned about the Australian market? Where are they?
Australian market is very interesting because it's kind of far away. Australia is really I think it's the most far away country from anything, yeah? And they're so, these people are so grateful when you do something for them, when I launched our public relations things there, I started publishing researches about the things. What are the most searched, people in Australia? What are the most popular, dishes in Australia? What are the most, visited websites in Australia? And the media there, they were so grateful to me because they said, oh my God, you do something specifically for Australia. Because they always feel abandoned because everybody think about, most of the marketers, because they think that we need to produce stuff for the US, and because this content is in English, it is okay then to offer this content to Australian market or to Canadian market. but Australians are super grateful if you do something specific for their market, and they do have they're very thankful when you find the time and when you produce content specifically for them, and they are ready to publish this content on their like local media resources. I would say Australians in a way they're super friendly. It's very easy to work with them, but of course I would say they're maybe a bit less faster than the Americans. I think the Americans, of course, they're the fastest nations in making any decisions. That's why the economy is growing so fast.
What about New Zealand? Do you have experience over there? Have you guys pushed into New Zealand at all?
No, honestly, no. We've never touched New Zealand specifically in terms of like public relations or like general marketing. So no, we've never done anything like specific for New Zealand. No, never.
Is Australia sophisticated with respect to SEO and SEM and content marketing?
Yeah, it is. There are like a lot of like world famous professionals in Australia who speak a lot at the US conferences in the UK. But at the same time, what I think is that if you talk about the digital marketing market, it is not that busy than in the US. It's much easier to open up a digital agency there. It's very easy, and it's much easier to succeed there than in the US, because in the US competition is pretty enormous. The market is very mature in the US. There are a lot of players, but in Australia, if you go there and you want to open up like a digital marketing service, I wouldn't say that it's easy, but it would be much easier than in the US to succeed because the competition is not so rough there.
Are there stages of search marketing maturity that you market to? Or is it always different country by country?
We offer the same tool for every single country, but we do distinguish in content in relates to the topics. As I mentioned before, for example, for Brazilian market, we entered the market with content marketing. And at the same time, we do pay a lot of attention how our content is packaged. For example, as I mentioned before, for Northern Europe, for Germany, you really need to go very technical and offer a lot of numbers and a lot of facts.
When you're marketing your service, what are the problems that your customers have that you're solving?
We believe that Semrush ensures like marketing professional have time for creativity and experiment, while Semrush takes care of data. So we want to take the dirty job, we want to take the routine job on ourselves, so to free marketers, so they have more time for creativity and experiment. So we believe that we are the analytics body of any marketer. We are like their mentor in digital marketing world and kind of the compass to the new market. So we believe that without tool, professional marketers or the beginners, they can really do less routine and find the time more for creative marketing.
And you find that a newbie that's really just trying to figure out what SEO is all about, do they respond to that message about data?
If you start doing your job, you need to do your job good. And there are a lot of great resources where you can learn search engine optimization on your own. You can start reading Search Engine Land, blog, Search Engine Journal blog. You can read Semrush blog. You can read Moz blog. There are a lot of resources when I started working with Semrush, I knew nothing about search engine optimization. I spent like 1 year reading a lot of things, and that was pretty enough for me to learn a lot about the industry, because we are living in the world when the information is free, and it is basically your choice and your desire if you want to learn things, because I think we live in the best era possible when the knowledge is basically out there. You just need to go and get it. Of course, you need to invest your time, but it is much easier than before. So I do believe if you're the beginner, your learning curve nowadays is not that bad. You just need to invest your time in reading proper blogs, proper resources, and then with some time and a bit of experience, you can become a really good marketer. And of course, to make enough money and to do big projects, you need to get rid of routine, and because you need to talk to clients, or if you're an SEO guy inside the company, you need to manage either your team, or you need to come up with some creative marketing solution. So I do believe that the tools like Semrush, they help to free your time for some creative marketing and leave the routine for tools like Semrush.
When you're talking to a novice SEO versus an expert, what are the emotional triggers of a novice SEO?
We try to educate the beginners, and our strategy, as the strategy of any company, as Gary Vaynerchuk said 5-7 years ago, he said that every company should become a media company, which means that you should become a media company on your own. So many years ago, we started investing a lot of resources, time and money into Semrush blog, which is one of the most popular digital marketing blogs in the world now. I think we publish it in 7 languages, or even 7 languages. So what we started doing, we started developing our blog both for the beginners. So we started publishing content like one-on-one content or how-to guides, whatever. So for people who would love to start their career in digital marketing. So our main trigger was that we are the place where they can learn marketing with us. And then when we talk about the professional marketers who has been in the industry for 10 or 5 or even 20 years, we also had a content which is for them, but this is more like the expert opinion content with the quotes, and so it's more about the discussion about the certain topics. We also use extensively Twitter to connect to the professional marketing communities, because all the big names in search engine optimization and content, they use Twitter a lot, and this community is so strong, and it is super friendly. People, they talk to each other day and night on Twitter, discussing new trends, Google algorithm, what is going on. So we've tried to build our own name on Twitter. We talked, and we are talking a lot to the search engine professionals there. We exchange the opinions, we tweet and retweet the opinions. So yeah, I would say that we are using blog a lot for different types of the audience, but at the same time, we used and are using Twitter a lot to connect with the with established search engine professionals?
I am not a math person. I hated math in high school. I actually remember sitting at my desk with tears in my eyes before an Algebra 2 test because I just couldn't get it. I basically disliked quantitative data. I did get geometry. That made sense to me because it's spatial, but numerical equations did not. And I can tell you that despite my aversion to numbers and data, I'm actually pretty good at search engine optimization. I get the basic concepts, and I've been doing it for almost 20 years now. A lot of people in marketing and public relations feel about SEO how I felt about algebra in high school. They hate it. They don't want to learn it. They want to do social media because it's fun, but they don't want to deal with SEO because it's scary. Well, I'm living proof that that's not true because I was terrible at math in high school and I learned to do SEO. And you can too, and you should. Because traffic from organic search is better. It's more qualified and it converts. I created a free class on the basics of SEO. It's totally non-technical. There are even a few jokes in there. I try to keep it light and fun. And listeners of this podcast can get free access to the course online right now at ericschwartzman.com/SEO class. Perhaps no skill will serve you better in digital marketing than understanding the basics of search engine optimization. You don't need to be an expert SEO, and you don't need to be a techie to understand the basics of how Google ranks search results. Again, my free Basics of SEO class is available to listeners of this podcast at ericschwartzman.com/SEO class.
You mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk's every company should be a media company comment, which sort of takes us into this category of owned media. The idea that we should have our own media that we own, that we program as a channel for communications. When you think about your 4 years that you've been at Semrush, and you think about the 4 different channels of media, owned media, shared media, what you say about yourself on social media, not necessarily what others say, but what you say about yourself, earned media, public relations, media relations, news media relations, and then paid media, advertising. Has there been an order in which you introduced those 4 channels, or were they all used at the same time?
When Semrush started, it was very interesting because the channel that helped Semrush to grow a lot was actually the channel of influence marketing. Because when our founders, they built the tool, it was a free tool. They were not planning to make anything big out of that. They built the tool for themselves. And then they just connected to the industry influencers and said, hey guys, we built a free tool. What do you think about that? And those industry influencers, they started using this tool on their daily basis. They said, oh my gosh, it's a great tool. And then our founders, they understood, wow, this tool is super helpful. We love it. Industry influencers love it. So we need to start developing it further. And so those influencers, they started sharing the print screens. They started sharing, their opinions about the tools. They started talking about these tools a lot. So it was like 10 years ago or something. Nobody was even talking about the influence marketing. But actually, influence marketing helped Semrush accidentally to become what it is now. Then I would say paid marketing was, of course, always a huge source of growth. We are a SaaS company, yeah. So any SaaS company invests a lot into paid media. You can't go without it, but you need to always remember that, if you don't have money, paid media go away from you. Then when we started investing in our blog, we became thinking about like the own media, about the organic source of traffic. So we started building the like our own empire of content that help us to get a lot of traffic from Google search, from social media as well. Plus, we used paid media to drive traffic to our blog and to our organically run content as well. And then I would say that owned public relations media became the last channel that we started investing. It was the last thing that we start doing because for starting public relations, first you really need to build up the product. There is no sense to start going to start going outside and start like shouting around that your tool is great. Nobody would believe you if it is not true. So when we've built everything, when we had already like Semrush became a really like a big name in search and optimization, we start thinking about like a huge public relations support. So it happens like 4 and something years ago when I joined Semrush, we hired a few public relations firms around the world that help us not to talk about the product itself, but which help us to build the big brand. So we talked about Semrush as a company, as a culture, about the people, about the expert and professional we have in Semrush. So yeah, first was influence marketing, then investments in paid media. Then we started growing our content empire with Semrush blog. We launched our YouTube channel. We started getting a lot of organic traffic, which also has been like shared in social media. And then the last but not least, we started investing a lot in public relations.
So, not as many people are blogging today as they were, 5 years ago. What have you learned from the blog? What works, what doesn't? Give us maybe some do's and don'ts when it comes to maintaining a blog.
Yeah, the thing, the competition is enormous. So if you started blogging like 5 or maybe 7 years ago, it was very easy to get noticed because there were not that many people blogging. Nowadays, anybody can create a blog. So the problem is that either you published the best content on the market or you go unnoticed. Because like if you are not get ranked on the first page of Google, nobody will ever find you. Because people, they don't go for the second page of Google search result, and they would never go to the third page of Google search results. So, and Google is super smart. If Google can create autonomously driven cars, Google for sure can understand the quality of the content that you publish. Google became very smart with content. So the only strategy now on the market is to create the best content possible, or not to create content at all. Because if your content is not cool enough, it wouldn't be loved by Google, and it wouldn't be loved by people. And if your content is not loved by people, it wouldn't be loved by Google. So it's vice versa. So only like great content, or don't go for content marketing at all. This is the only advice I would give.
What makes great content?
The content is the only one thing. Content should help to resolve a customer or a user or just an ordinary person problem. It can be whatever problem. It can be a business problem. It can be a personal problem. You just need to pick up one problem that certain amount of people have. It can be maybe just 1,000 of people, but these people can become your customers. But you need to help them resolve this problem. You need to be helpful. This is the only one thing, because the whole marketing nowadays, it's just about the customer experience. It's about the help to the customer. The world is changing. The sales, the style of sales that we used before, like push and stuff, it's not working anymore. It wouldn't work in the future because people, they don't love to be interrupted. So the only thing how you can sell something, it's only by helping. And content here is the best source of help, because when you don't, 77% or 78 of people, they start their customer journey with Google search. Because if you don't know how to do something or you are looking for something, you go to Google. So you just type your problem. And then you need to make sure that, as a company, that you create a content that resolves this problem. And then if it resolves this problem, and if it's written in a professional way, this content for sure would be noticed and ranked by Google. But
how do you determine which problems people have that you should be writing about?
Yeah, I do believe that, of course, there are a lot of sources. You can go to Quora. I love Quora. This is my favorite platform. It's the platform where people ask the questions and other people, they answer the questions. So you can go to Quora and see what people ask there. You can follow Twitter accounts of the industry experts and see what the people are talking about. Because if the people are talking about certain things, that means that these things are popular. You can use
beyond these general recommendations. Do you have a process at SEMrush for determining what problems you're going to be writing about? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we do use Quora. We do use our own tool SEMrush to see what people search for. With SEMrush, you can see what kind of questions people are asking Google. We have a topic research built inside SEMrush, so you can really see what people are asking Google, what kind of question. Also, we do invest a lot in talking to our customers. Probably, as you know, SEMrush invests a lot of money in being presented around events around the world. So we do go to the events. We schedule interviews to our customers. I do believe just the talks over the phone, or just go to your current or potential customer and talk to them. It's one of the biggest source of inspiration and content. So you need to do online research. You can use tools for that. You can use Google or whatever, or you just need to talk to your current or potential customers and see what are they conscious about. That's it. It's pretty simple. Just talk to people and do some research. We do that constantly, and we met with you at the conference. So after that, I talked after I gave my speech, I talked to a lot of our current customers, and I talked to them about about our SEMrush blog. And for example, they told me that they would love to have more one-on-one articles on certain topics. So I just wrote it down and gave those ideas to our content team, so they know what our actual customers are looking for.
Is the content team responsible exclusively for the blog, or are blog posts written by people who have other jobs at SEMrush?
Yeah, our blog is very interesting, because I think that I don't remember the actual number, but 80% of the posts that you see on our blog are being created by outside experts. So 80% of the content is being created by invited experts or people who applied for being SEMrush contributors, and 20% of content is being created by our inside content team, but this content is more about like product related. So yes, we have like a content marketing team which that writes content in 7 languages, but this is more like about the product itself. And then we have a big community of people outside Semrush who create content for our blog, and we don't pay them anything. They do that for free because they got a brand awareness from Semrush, and they can get traffic from Semrush to their own personal blogs.
Do they get an inbound link, a follow link?
We don't allow for follow link, but we do allow for links itself. So anyway, with publishing content on our blog, they get a huge, like they got a really fantastic chance to get like a huge amount of traffic coming from Semrush to their own blog post. Plus, by publishing content on our blog, they become more prominent in the industry, so they get speakers opportunities, they got clients opportunities. So it's a pretty like win-to-win situation for us and for the blog contributors.
But you don't allow them to have a link from their article to their company.
We allow the link, but it's not like it's not follow link. I mean, from the search engine optimization perspective, but it's a working link. Yeah, it's a valid link. It's working. Yeah.
In terms of blogging, was the blog there 4 years ago before you started, or is the blog since you've been there?
It has been, I think, for a few years, like for maybe 2-3 years when I joined Semrush, because as I mentioned before, Semrush started its blog like pretty from the very beginning. So yeah, I think it has been, our blog I think is about like 7 years old or something. So it's a pretty old blog with a huge domain authority. Yeah.
What sort of categories tend to perform best?
That's very interesting. The best performing categories are always the categories which are for the beginners. These are one-to-one guides because they're best performing because those categories they're for the most popular like search terms. So most of the people who go for Google, they look for the stuff for the beginners. So the most amount of traffic we got for the one-to-one guides, for the guides who explain like the basic stuff of search engine optimization and the basic stuff of content marketing and digital marketing in general.
What's the best way to use paid media to drive traffic to a blog?
I think you know what we personally love Facebook targeting. Facebook targeting is great because it's super advanced, and this Facebook you can really nail it. You can target to a specific to a specific group of people who will be really interested in reading your content. So I do believe that Facebook is one of the best sources of paid media targeting. Twitter is performing much worse. So we do invest a lot in Facebook, really a lot, and our budget for Facebook targeting, like for Facebook ads campaign, they just grow exponentially.
Are you targeting mostly by keyword, or do you target, by audience?
I don't know how the paid team does it now, but based on my experience, I usually, when I've been running my stuff, I usually have done it for audience, because Google is great exactly for audience and with targeting for audience and for its interest. And from what I've seen before, I don't know how it's nowadays because I haven't been launching the campaign on my own for quite some time. But in my experience in the past, it worked perfectly well for the audience-based targeting on their interest.
Do you have any experience with dynamic search ads?
Yeah, we use dynamic search ads a lot. We also use a lot of display advertising for retargeting, because SaaS business is the business that nobody will buy a Semrush, like I don't know, like just from like it's not like selling, shoes. It's not the emotional purchase. So you really need to invest a lot in retargeting. You need to I think you need to show up your ad on average 15 times or something, so you get remembered. And so retargeting is huge for us. Retargeting and display advertising for retargeting as well.
And on the display side, you find that display ads work effectively compared to text ads?
Yeah, for us it is because I think it's, but it can be, it also can depend on text ads. Text ads are great for it's great for when you are targeting a certain user request for Google. So since the Google search results change a lot, so it's quite difficult to distinguish between paid results and organic results. So paid text search paid advertising is great for targeting really a specific request, and display is great for retargeting the same group of people that you targeted before with the text ads.
Before I let you go, I want to tell you about a new report I released that I think you're going to find very valuable. It's about why so many companies fail when they engage a public relations agency or a PR specialist and allocate budget towards earned media. And the deal is this. Before you're ready to go out and try and get press, you really need to understand who you are and what your message is and why you're different than your competitors. You need to know what makes you newsworthy. Now, in the old days, you hired a PR person to do that. They created a press kit and some media pictures, and they went after press on your behalf. But the press kit has become the owned media strategy. And when I say owned media, I mean media you own, like your website or your blog or podcast. Until you take the time to get clear on what your message is and put it out there in an owned media strategy and show why it's newsworthy and why journalists should cover you, it's probably going to be difficult for journalists to get their arms around your story because they just don't have the time. So step one really is an owned media strategy, creating an online presence. After that, you need to build some street credibility by building relationships with influencers within your community so that when a reporter searches your name, they see you connected with the folks they already consider to be influential in your space. I call that shared media strategy. And that involves the social media platforms you use to engage with others in your community. So if I go online and I see you really don't have much of a presence and no one's really connected to you and you're not really saying much, then you become more risky as a prospect to consider covering if I'm a journalist because you're a ghost and you have no credibility. So if you want to be successful at getting press at earned media, you really need to start with owned media first and then shared media second before engaging in media relations. I call this a growth PR strategy, moving from owned to shared to earned to paid. And if you'd like more information on this approach, I developed this free report that lays out the strategy, which you can use to make sure you're ready to engage the news media before you start spending money on a public relations agency. And you can download it at ericschwartzman.com/start-up. Again, you can download it at ericschwartzman.com/start-up. Thanks for listening. This is Eric Schwartzman for the B2B Lead Gen Podcast. See you next time.